morning, everybody. This rainy Tuesday morning. Getting started on a few orders for some nice EDC knives. Show you my template of what I'm working with. Where I set that. So here's what we're working on. So I got about 12 of those to do. So what I'm going to do is start forging them out. I'm working with 8670 today. Good high carbon steel I purchased from Pop's Knife Supply, but thought I'd take you guys through kind of the whole process. So today what we're doing is forging. So I'll show you how I forge those out, and then as time goes by, for those interested in seeing the more detailed process, take you through everything that I do when I grind and all that good stuff. But first thing we're going to do is forge out the point. Hot again, but as you can see, kind of bringing it down. Just strike, quarter turn, strike, quarter turn. So hit the side, hit it flat, hit the side, hit it flat. Boy, I'm thankful for some cooler weather today. Well, let's get hot again and show you some of the stuff I'm currently working on. That are ready for handles. I've got this Serbian chef's knife. That's going to be just a fun kitchen knife to work with. One I did in a class a few weeks ago. Haven't decided on a handle for it. But what I did with this one's really cool is I soaked it in vinegar for about 24 hours, and what it does is it darkens the steel, but it puts a protective kind of patina on the steel, protecting it from rust. So I'm probably going to do more of that. That's also what I did for this kitchen knife. So it darkens that beveled air, darkens, kind of grays out the scale left on there. All right. Just about there. Real close though. So I'm working with a little bit thinner steel than what I'm used to, so it cools off pretty quick. This fan blowing again. that point. So I went from that to that. Usually I can do it in about 2 heats. This one took 3. But now what I'm going to do is start thinning or narrowing this up a little bit. One that I just finished up the handles yesterday. So that's what I'm working on. Just a good small knife. You can get all 4 fingers on it. It's a little tight for 4 fingers, but I like that little kick out here. You can be able to get that 4th finger on, but it's still not so long and sticking way out of your hand. It fits the palm really, really nice for a full grip. Most of the time though, for me, I'm holding it more this way. But grate's relatively lightweight for carrying every day. But that's what I'm working on. Just a little drop point. All right. Up. I've got my point. I'm getting close to being ready to start forging the rest of the blade out, but I'm kind of setting up my preform shape. So my blade edge is going to be down here. The spine's going to be this side. So I'm going to work on getting that point down just a touch more, and then start thinning it out just a hair. And then I'll be ready to forge that finger well in. As you start with that point down more, and as you start to forge these bevels in, of course these are ground down now, but as these bevels get forged in, the steel just spreads out and it curls that point up. And so since I'm not wanting a clip point like this one, I'm going to put that point down just a touch more, so I'll have a nice just straight drop point. I'm not putting a sharp fin on it here. Lower your point. The lower your point is when you're forging, it'll stay low. But if you leave your point flat or up a little bit, it's going to curl it more like this. So I'm just getting my spine thickness to the thickness I want it at. So, because once I get it there, I won't forge on the spine of the knife anymore. it's fine about the thickness I want it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hammer in the finger well. So that's going to help me know where the blade's going to start and stop on the tail end of the knife. Small but important. Always keep your anvil clean. Sometimes I forget to do that. That scale stays hot for a few seconds after it pops off the knife as you're hammering, and it'll get you pretty good. So the cleaner you keep your anvil, the less that happens. Alright, we'll measure out about 2 3/4 inches, because it's going to end up being a 3-inch blade. I'll gain about a 1/4 inch as I hammer out those bevels, and then we'll put that finger well in. I'll put it in right here on the edge of the handle. Shy of 2 3/4 inches, and then that'll grow. Now I've kind of got my preform shape set up. So my blade edge is here, got the finger well hammered in a little bit. I'll work on that a little bit more here in just a minute. But the next thing I'm going to do is basically finish up the blade. I'm going to hammer in the bevels. That might take a couple heats. Just shy of 3 inches. I'll do one more heat on those bevels, but it's already starting to take shape on that blade edge. So it's starting to look real good. done. So that's pretty much done. The only thing left to do here is just cleaning it up. I'm going to take some hammer marks out in a little bit, but I'm going to start working on the handle now. The tang. So before there's a handle on it, it's called the tang. Like what astronauts drink. Here's my very first knife I ever forged out of high carbon steel. Right there. This big old monster. The thickness on that thing is just enormous. I made the handle too big, so I just wrapped it. And this is my shop knife. It hangs on the pegboard. The very first knife I ever forged was out of a railroad spike. That was a fun one. Gave that one away. Don't mess with those much anymore unless someone asks about it. They're just fun to play around with. Don't make great knives, but as far as holding a good edge, but they're fun. Yeah. So that's about where I started. And as far as small knives go, a lot cleaner. So I did this one about 1.5 years ago, and I forged this one out last week. Narrow up that handle area. Tang. Starting to look like a knife. That's a knife. So do a little bit more narrowing up at the tang there, and then probably cut it off. I'll flip it around. Finish up forging out the handle area of the tang. And thin it out, make sure it's straight. So this is a good simple one. I like forging these out. But I need a break from the more complicated designs I've been working on. It's nice to come back to a little bit more basic style every now and then. Favorite hammer. It's my first custom hammer. All my other hammers came from Harbor Freight. This one came from Beisler Blacksmiths from Paul Beisler. Makes a great hammer. It's got a good rounding side and a good straight peen. I hadn't been using the rounding side on this steel because it's already thin enough and I don't want to get it any thinner. But I love having this straight peen for when I'm just trying to draw steel out. It helps me keep it from changing shape too much, but lengthens it and thins it out. So I like to use that for my handles. I especially like using it when I'm working on leaf springs. It saves me a little bit of forging time and getting the leaf springs thinned out because they start out stinking big. leaf springs. I don't know if you can see that. These aren't too bad. These are about a 1/4 inch thick. But I've got some other leaf springs that are about a 1/2 inch thick, 1/3 of an inch thick. Nobody wants a 1/2 inch thick knife. Don't need it quite that massive. The thicker it is too, the harder it is to heat treat it well. Alright, cut this bad boy off. Myself a little bit of room to work, just a little bit of wiggle room, so I don't actually cut the handle too short. Very important thing to remember when you drop your knife on your hot steel on the ground. Don't forget your tongs. Don't want to burn your digits. It's all about safety. That's how you enjoy knife making, is if you do things that make you safe. So that's still stinking hot on the end there, so I always like to put it off out of the way, or I'm not going to step on it. My kids aren't going to run around playing and step on it. So I'll tuck it kind of under here, where it can cool off slowly and not burn anybody or catch anything on fire. Once in a while, I gotta put the handle back where it belongs. Just about done with the whole shape of the knife. So once I get the tang to the shape of the handle I want, I like to get a nice subtle curve in it. And notice there's a little bit of curve right along the spine there. like to get a little bit of curve in there. It makes it really comfortable. Because the hand has a nice curve to it, so it's just going to sit in there really, really nicely. I mean, there's almost no way you can hold this that isn't comfortable. About where I want it. It's a little wider than I want it, so it gives me a little bit of wiggle room when I go to grinding it. Room for mistakes, my friend. Room for mistakes. But it's real close, so what I'm going to do, thin this area out because it tends to thicken up right at that handle where I put that finger well in. Taken care of. Fun part, waiting for heat back up. Deepen that finger well just a little bit. Now we're just cleaning it up. We're going to smooth it out, get the hammer marks out, and make sure it's nice and straight. With the Harbor Freight hammer, I've put a rounding side on it, but not as aggressive as this other one I have. I've got a flattening side on it. I need to do a little bit more work to improve this because it still puts divots in my. So I take this one over here. I've done a little more work on. Nice flattening side, so I use that to get any of the extra deep hammer marks out. I use my vise to make sure it's nice and straight, and it's done. So what I do after that is I get it back hot in the forge, and I get it back up to, I don't know, 1800 degrees or so. When it's forging, it's up over 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. But I get it back in there, and that's the first step of my heat treat process. And then I leave it in the forge, turn the forge off, and let it cool down for several hours. And that's just one part of helping to refine the grain, make it a stronger knife. Very meticulous about my heat treat process, so that you get a strong knife you can depend on. It's going to last. clay portion. Looks good and straight. Smoothed out. Yeah. I'll do a little bit more smoothing on that side. On me, that camera's wiggling. Hopefully I haven't been wiggling this whole video. Make you motion sick. Alright. Smooth this side out a little bit more. Doesn't have to be super hot. Steel needs to be hotter than others when you're forging it. But it's not real hard blows by the hammer. You're just smoothing it out. You start whacking on it real hard again, you're just going to put bigger divots in. Get that point straight where I want it. One strike. One gentle strike. Straighten you up right where you want. Go. Now we're straight. Alright. Clean up the tank. Done. Done with the forging process anyway. Is key, my friends. One more heat ought to do it. Quite straight. Almost. Nice straight blade. That is forging out. Good EDC blade. Come back for the next video where we profile it on the grinder, bevel it out, get it all nice and pretty, ready for heat treat. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see any of the knives that I've got available for sale, go check out my Instagram and Facebook pages. It is at Pruitt Knives of Valor on Instagram and Facebook. And if you got any questions, comments, leave them down below, and I will respond to every single one of them. And if you want to see something that I don't show or I haven't shown yet, let me know. Let me know what you want to see, and we'll make it happen. So